Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Beyond Mirage. Today, we have with us Anand sir, who is an Indian author, columnist, screenwriter, and a public speaker. He is known for writing mythological fictions and has authored 10 books in English and one in Malayalam. He follows the style of telling stories based on the perspective of the antagonist or supporting characters of a larger work. His debut work, Asura, Tale of Vanquished, which was released in 2012, was based on the Indian epic Ramayana told from the perspective of Ravan, the first book in his Ramayana series. It was followed by series of books based on characters from Mahabharata and Bahubali. Anand Sir's Asur book is one of the 100 books to be read in a lifetime as per Amazon. Welcome, sir, to the podcast and web series of Beyond Mirage.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for inviting. It's a pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to this.
Amazing, sir. So first of all, sir, I would like to start with why did you choose this style of writing? Like talking from a perspective of antagonist point.
First thing, what I would like to say, there are no antagonists in Indian mythology. There is no concept of good versus evil. I have been repeating it in many of the interviews. In our traditional concept, there is nothing called good, absolute good or absolute evil. So Ravana is Vishnu's bodyguard as per the Puranas, Jaya, who takes birth as Hiranyaksha. Hiranyakashipu, that is Jaya and Vijaya as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Then comes Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and then Kamsa and Sisupala, or Kamsa and Dandavakra as from different tradition. They come to earth as a part of the curse. So the story world, the Puranic story world starts like that because Sananga Kumara has cursed them. Hence, there is no concept of good versus evil. It was a part of the God's Leela or the play in which both are playing the part. Ram is playing his part and Ravana is playing his part. So these actually represent two extreme worldview. So Ravan is very materialistic. Ram is about sacrifice. Ravan is about success and victory and ambition, greed, intelligence. So he represents how usually a successful man lives, whereas Ram represents how one ought to live for the society. So these are the two differing ideals Ravana is trying to say. And then comes Bali also, the third Bali Sugriv story. So Ramayana and Mahabharata, they were written in a different era, and the good versus evil, good triumphing over evil, all are very Abrahamic religious concept which came much later to India during the Islamic invasions, British rule and all. And we have got confused and we have got mixed that philosophy to our own karma and karmavela, the cycle of karma, cycle of dharma. That philosophy we are mixed together, and that is why this confusion is there that Ravan is a villain. Ravan is not a villain. Ravan is a part player. It's like a character. It is like saying the person who plays the villain's part is a villain. No, he is not. It is his role to play in this Leela. That's all. So he represents some certain values, none of which are by per se evil or good. They are just values.
Okay, got it. So talking about the Ravan, so say it is depicted that Ravan has 10 heads. So what is the significance of that?
The 10 heads, there are many Ramayanas. One of my recent books, which is an audio book, is in Audible, is Many Ramayanas, Many Lessons, which is available both in English and Hindi. So what I have done is I tried to compile hundreds of Ramayanas which I came across while writing various Ramayana stories from Asura, or for television Siya Ke Ram, or Mahabali Hanuman, which I did for the television, or Vanara, or the Valmiki's latest book, Valmiki's Women. All these Ramayana based books, more projects I am doing for films and TV based on Ramayana and Mahabharata. So I came across lots of them right from my childhood, right from the age of 5. So last 42 years, whatever I have gathered, I have tried to put it in that book. Mahabharata also similarly I'm going to write many Mahabharatas. Ravana's 10 heads are depicted in different ways in different Ramayanas. Certain places it is actually 10 heads. Then there comes a very logical question. 10 is not a number of symmetry. 9 is 11 is. Because if you have 10, just think, if you have 10 heads, one side should have 6 and other will have 4. No?
Yep.
It cannot be 5 plus 5 because this is your neck. How will you have a 5 plus 5 on either side? It has to be an odd number. So there itself it falls flat. Many of the sculptures are dealt it differently. Some sculptures, if you see in some South Indian temples, it is put one above other instead of the 10 like this. Then it can be of many stories. No? It could be 20, 30, 40 heads also. I'm talking about a very logical problem because I'm not the first person to think about it. So in my Asura book, if you see, we have put 11 heads, even though it's called Dasagriva. Why? Because 10 is one original head and the 10 thinking heads. So we have put 11. If you carefully see, we have drawn a picture in that it has 11 heads. Many people ask this question, so I am answering it here. Another thing is like if you see in Jain Ramayanas, Jains were the most rational people of those era. So Jains tried to give very scientific explanation for everything. So in Jain Ramayana, how it comes, when Ravana was born, the mother Kaigasi puts a necklace with 9 precious stones. All the 9 precious stones reflected is one head, thus 10 head.
Okay.
Another one is what I gave the explanation in Asura. These are the 10 thinking heads. There are Ramayanas where 10 personalities of Ravana come. And Ravana comes from, when Ravana wants to think about everything, all the 10 come to him and they talk to each other. So there are various ways this has been depicted. What we have to understand is, allegorically, these are the human emotions. And Ravana is the epitome of all human emotion. He is the highest, as a poet has the license. So he has created a character where he has the highest ambition. He has the highest intelligence. He has the highest aesthetic sense. He's a great artist. He has the highest greed. He has the highest envy. So all human emotions, which could be good or bad, and nothing per se is good or bad. How can you call discontentment a bad emotion? If discontentment is not there, moha is not there, greed is not there, ambition is not there, then there is no civilization at all. We will be still living in caves, right? The first caveman has no ambition. He would have remained a monkey itself, or at least evolution had brought him to a man. Fine. After that, what? He wants to travel fast. He is not happy with his traveling speed. Wheel is invented, or he gets a horse. Then he graduates to cars and to flights, to rockets, to space. So the entire civilization is because of this, what we call the unending discontentment. So that itself is not negative. When it crosses a point, it becomes negative. That even goodness becomes a problem. Harishchandra's story's actual lesson is that. The actual lesson of Harishchandra's story is not that you should all, like what Gandhiji said. Gandhiji, everybody can interpret it in its way. Gandhiji was taking Harishchandra's story, and conventionally, many times it is told that you have to always follow the truth. Krishna doesn't always follow the truth. Because taken, like Buddha said, there is always a Madhyama Marga, a middle path. You go to extreme, you will suffer like Harishchandra. The truth also cannot be taken to extreme. So this is the lesson what Krishna gives to Yudhishthira also. When he has to tell a lie, he has to tell a lie. And Yudhishthira's entire life is negated there. As if he has been telling truth only to tell that particular lie to win the war. But life is like that. Extreme ahimsa is the greatest himsa. Extreme love is the greatest hate. So Ravana, a character has been created. Why it becomes so larger than life is because Valmiki has created him so beautifully that he is extreme of all. He is extreme of intelligence. So Ram praises, he is extreme of knowledge. He is the extreme of beauty. In Tamil Ramayana, Malayalam Ramayana and all, he is called as Sundar Ravan, Arige Ravan. He is the most handsome of man. So he is the extreme of everything. It's not the, what you call the typical Ravan who is put in Ram Leela in the northern parts of the country. Actual Ravana in Ramayana itself, he had the tejas, or what they call it, he had the aura of 1,000 suns, sparkling sun. So he is supposed to. So one of the things is Ram sees Ravana and he is stunned by the glory of this man. So Imagine in no literature in the world, such a villain has been created. It's so fascinating because he's the extreme of everything, good and the bad. So it has been set as an example by Valmiki that if you really see, Rama has flaws, it's human flaws. He's always in a dilemma, and he follows the path and he chooses others over himself. Ravan's flaws are his merits are his flaws. A man, he's arrogant, but why shouldn't a man be arrogant? It's a question Valmiki actually raises. Why shouldn't be a person arrogant who can lift Kailasa? He should be arrogant. No? Without arrogance, that man doesn't exist. So that makes him fascinating. And if you see in modern life, everyone is trying to become Ravan. They can't reach it, it is our fortune. But if they aspire to become Ram, the society will end there.
Okay.
That's the irony of life.
Okay.
We can neither become Ram or Ram because both are in the both extreme. So again, that is why the Krishna avatar, the Paripurna avatar was required, where he is the middle part. He is both Ram and Ravan.
Okay.
There is lots of parallel between Ravana and Krishna in many ways, not all, but in many ways. Both are highly materialistic. See, Ram is about leaving everything, leaving the forest for his father, going away. Krishna is born in the forest in Vrindavan and comes to the city. He establishes city. He's totally opposite of Ram. Ram never lies, Krishna always lies. If you say Krishna is called the cunning Krishna, the sly Krishna, it's a term of endearment actually. So whatever, it's also a part of Karma Vela. No? Ram's next avatar is Krishna. Whatever Ram said, the Karma Vela makes him do the opposite of it. So everything you can see parallel. So Krishna, what he does, he falls in love with another man's wife, Radha. Whereas in Ram, kills Bali for half the mistake of that, because Tara was originally Bali's wife. Then Sugriva took her, and then Bali takes it. So Bali only reclaimed it, just like what Ram does. Even though Sita doesn't become Ravan's wife, Ravan kidnaps Sita. And Ram takes her. Bali did the same. Bali didn't, like many people think, Tara was not Sugriva's original wife. Sugriva has taken Bali's wife. Sugriva's wife was Ruma. So even for that, Bali is killed. Whereas in the next avatar, Krishna does the entirely opposite. He isn't falling in love with Radha. He brings Rukmani, it's almost like a kidnap. So whatever Ram had stood for, Krishna stands against that, and both are right. That's life. That's why Ram is Purna avatar and Krishna is Paripurna avatar. Krishna makes Pandavas tell lies. Krishna makes cheats Karna of his this thing, ask him to shoot behind the back, ask Yudhishthira, who always tells truth, to tell a lie. So it becomes, that is why these epics are so fascinating, or Puranas are so fascinating. The other completes, one completes another. The great mark of any literature or poetry is the irony it brings. These are full of ironies. That's why they make the stories are living for 5,000 years and are subject to so many interpretations.
Right. So, sir, when you are talking about the extremes, and when you are talking about the good and evil, there is nothing like good and evil, or when you go to the extremes, you actually fall down. So how do you basically find the middle path? As you said that if you be the Ravan also, then you will also go down, or maybe if you be the Ram also, then also you will go down, because both are extremes. So how do you actually find the middle path? Is there any story which is related in this?
Who is the next avatar after Ram and Krishna? Buddha is avatar. Buddha actually addresses middle path.
Middle path, yeah.
So that is when the Dashavatar gets complete, no? Because Krishna is also one extreme, if you really see. When Krishna gives another example. Even if you go to extreme, you are detached from it. See, these are all different methods. Krishna goes to all extreme. No? Krishna has 16,008 wives. He has He lives in luxury. He enjoys his life. There are many people may get offended, but in Mahabharata, he, he gets drunk with Arjun. He gets drunk with everyone. Yadavas always get drunk. He celebrates life. There is no God who has celebrated life so much. And in the next gen, the next avatar is Buddha. It's totally extreme of Krishna. He abandons his kid. Again, it's like Rama reloaded. But he doesn't go to the other extreme of Rama where he goes and fights somebody, kills somebody. Buddha talks about ahimsa. So you find suddenly one path of Ram, one path of Krishna, suddenly another path of Buddha, where he talks about ahimsa, where he talks about the middle path. So Buddha's message is about the middle. So one of the fantastic example of Buddha's life is his death. Buddha talks about ahimsa, kill nothing. But Buddha's ahimsa is not Mahavira's ahimsa. Mahavira's ahimsa, again, who is the next Tirthankara in Jain, this thing?
No idea, sir.
Coming Tirthankara, Ravana is the next Tirthankara.
Okay.
That is again a matter of karma. Ravana, who has done so much violence, comes as the apostle of peace, as the next Tirthankara. Here, after Rama and Krishna, Buddha comes. Buddha, the difference between Buddha and Mahavira is both are great saints, both change the world. But Mahavira's is the extreme. Whereas Buddha never says, don't eat any animals. You don't kill anything. It has its own problems. I'm not saying it's perfect. But if somebody has already killed an animal, you don't waste the food. You use that. Otherwise, it is an extremism. No? But you waste the food. So this has resulted in, say, in Tibet, there are 3 or 4% of Muslims. How they became Muslims is because Buddhists won't butcher. These Muslims went there as butchers or converted as butchers. So these butchers butcher the food and the Buddhists eat that. This is the extreme interpretation of laws. So Buddha's death, it's believed that it was because of food poisoning of eating a swine or a pig pork, bacon. You don't call it bacon, so pig meat, swine meat.
Okay.
Which was contaminated. In his Bhiksha Patra, it was in his begging arm, it was put, and he won't waste it. He ate it, and so he died, is one belief. So even his death is his middle path issue. That, but then again, is it the middle path if you really logically think? Because that's also an extreme, no? Even if it's rotten, I will eat it. That's also an extreme. But it is this kind of interesting debates that makes the Indian thought so fantastic and interesting. There is no commandments. You have the right to question the gods, and it is encouraged to question the gods or the avatars. Because one of the first things which is taught, you have traditionally learned, the bit which I did, one of the first things that is taught and which is the foundation of Indian thought is Advaita. Advaita itself, there are various forms of Advaita, which is complicated. I don't want to dwell it in a 10-15 minute speech. But one of the thing is the oneness of everything. So when you talk about oneness of everything, you are God. One of the things which they say is Aham Brahmasmi, and the second line is Tattvamasi.
Tattvamasi.
Very simple explanation of Advaita. There are then trustees and trustees from Shankaracharya to Vishishta Advaita of Ramanujacharya. It goes on and on and on because Indians love to argue and debate. It's a great thing. Fundamental thing is this. Once you understand this, you need not learn any books. You need not have any other gods. You need not go to. You need not read any scriptures. You need not say any mantras. That's what they say. But many people, but you have to really understand this. One in million or a billion may understand it. So others are all just a parts to this, including or essentially rationalism. Our gurus talk about atheism as one of the viable paths which everyone should go through. Because through atheism also you will reach this state. You deny there is no God. Correct. It's a very logical, that has been argued out of 6 systems of philosophies in India. 3 are atheistic, 2 are agnostic. Only 1 talks about God.
Mm.
Buddhism is agnostic religion. So, and Jainism is an atheistic religion, if you really see. Later, the Tirthankaras became like God, but Mahavira is an atheistic religion. Atheism, no other literature, ancient languages in the world have given so much literature to rationalism and atheism than Indians. Tamil and Sanskrit might be the 2 ancient languages, classical languages, which has the maximum number of atheistic books. Atheism is a very valid path in Hinduism.
Mm.
Rather, atheism is an elevated path. So in Dasarada's Sabha, there is an atheist. All Sabhas will have an atheist also, because that is also a valid path. So atheism is what? Atheism is you are using your rationality and say that there is no God, which is what Advaita also says. There is no separate God. There is no sky daddy sitting there and judging you. You are the God. Atheists should not have any problem with it. If I am the God and the stone is the God and the mic is the God and everything, you go to Shaktaya Advaita, everything is energy. Everything is the spandana, the vibration. This, you come to the atomic theory, everything is a vibration. The Shiva's dance is just a poetic representation of the vibration of it. So an atheist and an Advaita guy should not have any quarrel. Perhaps they may quarrel talking about, because after some time the Advaita, you may blame Shankara for it, but he tells it in different plane. Adi Shankara talks about our soul and the supreme soul. But in actual Advaita, it is not different. Both are same. Some go to the extent of, some texts go to the extent of telling it, it's like reflection. But even reflection is not correct. Why? Because in reflection, only the right, the one is true, other is Mythya.
Illusion. Yeah.
Illusion. How the arguments, especially Nagarjuna and all brings in the Buddhist philosopher, great philosopher Nagarjuna and all brings is, everything is Brahma. And everything is illusion. From Brahma Satyam Jagat Mythya, the Mythya of Jagat is an illusion. If you really think, you just, I can illustrate it with a very simple point. If you are living in a city like how I am, a polluted city like Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai or any place like that, major cities, Bangalore or big cities, perhaps you may not be able to recognize this. You come to Himalayas or to the writing retreat which I have in Kerala, in Wayanad, my resort, any of these places, or in Northeast, any places which is not polluted, which is still have the pristine environment. Like these are the like tourist stays, no, Kerala or Kashmir or Uttarakhand or any place like that. You look at the sky, you will see 1 million stars. Even remote parts of Maharashtra, not in the cities, we have so much pollution. You see lots of stars, but are they really, do they really exist there? Because the light travels for millions of years. Some of the lights which is traveling here, we are seeing stars, they could have died already. We don't know about it because the light should have stopped. We will know it after, say, 10 lakh years. For the light, so many light years away it is, but we are able to see it. So we are seeing what is not there actually now in this time. We are seeing blank space between. Some star would have been born. Some, some galaxy would have been born, or something would have become, the red dwarf, something would have become the black hole, something had been swallowed. We don't know about that because that light is set to reach, or the blank space which you see, already a star is found, you are not seeing. So what you are seeing is not true. What you are not seeing is true. So the truth depends on you. Again, there is no absolute truth. No, the truth depends on you.
You, right.
Because you are at this particular time, at this particular day, at this particular geography, you are looking at the sky and saying, this is the truth. This is the scientific truth. But is it really the scientific truth? Because what you see is an illusion. What is not there, you are not seeing. What is there, you are seeing.
Right.
It's a very simple explanation of Jagat Mythya. But what is true? The Shakti is true. The energy is true. Shivam is true. Satyam Shivam Sundaram.
Sundaram.
That is why they say Satyam Shivam Sundaram. It's so beautiful. What is more beautiful than this Srishti? What is this beautiful of this eternal universe which forms and reforms by itself? That's what in our cosmology, what they say. So this Shivam is the movement, the dance, the vibration. Shakti is the energy. When they mix, the universe is formed. That is only the Satyam. The beauty is formed.
Right.
Brahma Satya, that's also called Brahma. Brahma Satya, Jagat Mythya. The world is an illusion. This is just a function of time and space.
Right.
So this is, so when I say rationalism also, why they said, our Muni said rationalism is a valid path, is because only a rational man will think. Only a rational man will ask these questions. Only if you ask the question, you will reach this.
Right.
Everybody reaches, if you travel the path, from Bombay to Delhi, you can travel through 100 paths. Some may be tough. You can fly, you can take a train, you can walk, you can roll, you can go to London, take a flight and back. But ultimately, you may reach there if that is where you have to go, if you don't stop the journey. These are all different paths. So Krishna says that just like different rivers flow to the ocean, every thought process come to me. So that's why the Krishna calls himself as, says that I am time. Yes, Kala Purusha. Shiva is Kalakeya. Time is God. Time is a function through which you know the world.
Got it.
And what are you if you think? What are you think? You are star material, right? We are in a constant churn. We are just a function of time. What made your atoms? What made this is not a new theory actually. The Kannada had brought this theory in 2nd century BC. That's why it's called Kannada, Kanams, or atoms. We are all made of atoms. Everything is made of atoms. The Kannada used to say that school of philosophy. Everything is made of atoms. The Svabhava or the nature differs on how each atom interacts with other. This is modern physics also in one way if you think. So my books are trying to tell these kind of truths through simple language and simple storytelling. That's all.
Right. So, sir, talking about the books, sir, can you take us through the process of writing a bestseller? Like, quickly through a process of writing a bestseller. What goes behind that?
First thing for me, the stories are a capsule to tell my ideas, and my ideas are not new. I am just showing or just brushing up what is available in this great country. That's why I always dedicate my books to the bards and storytellers who have tried to tell all these stories in different formats. I found in the last among that chain, or one of these spirits. There are thousands and thousands of bards and poets who have made all these stories so special to us and told this, including mothers and grandmothers of every home. Writing a bestseller, I don't know if there is a formula. Fortunately, whatever I have written, I become a bestseller. The only thing I abide is I do a de-Tharurization process. That's what I call it. Tharur is my country cousin. I respect him a lot. We belong to the same state, but we come from the two other extremes. He's a suave man with an international education, and his English is fantastic. I studied in an ordinary school and I learned English very late. From a very remote village in Kerala I come from. So I'm still learning English. So my English is simple. My English fluency is limited. So what I do is I tell the stories for people like me who I may try to tell all the deeper ideas because they are not my ideas. I'm borrowing it from Shankara to Nagarjuna to Yajnavalkya to whoever, Valmiki to Vyasa. So I am standing in the shoulder of the giants. And I try to tell it in an entertaining fashion. I try to tell it in a very simple English, which a 10th standard student or 8th standard student should understand. But what happens is, as you are writing, now I would have written around 300 hours of screenplay and 11 books, and every week columns in various newspapers. there is a danger that my English skills will improve. It's human nature. No? When you practice a lot with some average intelligence, your skill improves. That happens to everyone. So now my editing process is doubly difficult because I have to go through each line and cut down any words which may trouble any reader. And try to tell the same thing in short, simple sentences, but without losing the message that, because I don't write just for entertainment. Rather, my books are not, they don't deal, if Asura, if you are read, you understand that it is not a very simple book to read. I am fighting two, three challenges. One is, I am writing in a foreign language. And a language is alien to me, which I learned very late. I still think in Malayalam. And then even now while I am talking, I'm thinking in Malayalam, translating it fast and talking to you. So I think in my mother tongue. And then the second thing is I'm going against what people have believed for at least 1,000 years, because this form of Ravana hatred or Ravana as a villain has hardly 800, 900 years, or roughly 500 years is what made it like this. Otherwise, Ravan, many temples you see in Ram temple, Ravan also will be there as a Murti, especially in South. So I'm going against the grain. Third, I am telling these stories without any gods or goddesses or anything like that. I'm telling it in a very rational way. There are no divine weapons. Four, I am telling it where. If there is caste system, I tell it where there is caste system. If there are flaws in our society, I tell that to your face. So, given all these things, the book becoming a bestseller was a remote chance. I had Ravana-like ambition, so I had written that this book is going to sell 1 lakh copy. It sold 10 times that. I regret that I had not written 1 crore copies. But frankly, logically, the book should not have sold at all, because I am going against the belief system. I'm not using a very special language, bombastic language which will inspire people. Because in India, great English is often taken as a direct correlation to a man's intelligence, a woman's intelligence,
unfortunately,
and knowledge. One thing is that English knowledge exposes you to a lot. The number of material available in English is huge. So you cannot deny that it's a great language and it's a modern language. Like once upon a time, Sanskrit used to hold that position as a language. Chinese used to hold that. Persian used to hold that. Spanish used to hold that. Arabic used to hold that. Tamil used to hold that during different eras. Now it's a time of English. So German, for a brief period before, held it. Russian also. But now it is a time of English, especially with America still leading. Maybe, who knows, Chinese may become again. But since we are living in that century, we are not living in a Sanskrit century or a Tamil century or a Russian century or a German century. We are living in an English century. We cannot deny that. But having an awe at a person who can speak English without any substance is what makes it sadder. Because many of the bards I have met, they were barely literate or illiterate. They could speak only their languages. One good thing is 2 languages you learn in India. Almost all languages, if you strain enough, 70 to 80% you can understand. One is Sanskrit, one is These are the 2 basic languages. I have fundamental knowledge on both these languages. Plus Malayalam, and Malayalam is actually the mix of Tamil and Sanskrit, so that helped me also. Only pronunciation differences. So we can understand Bengali, you can understand Gujarati, you can understand Marathi if people talk slow. So what I do I cannot speak any of these languages, but I take storyteller audible books of these languages, slow it down and hear it again and again, so that I can understand 70 to 80% words are same. Kannada I can understand well, Telugu I can understand well. Odia Bengali, because of the pronunciation, it's a bit difficult. Gujarati Marathi can be understood well. And I think any Indian can do that. Maybe you have to be a bit familiar with Tamil also to understand the South Indian languages. And I find that so many people, so many knowledgeable people are there in these languages. They don't come to The translations, many of the books written in these languages, when I hear them in those languages, it's fantastic. The translation, when I try to get it in English, it's horrible. That's one sad fact. That many great writers who if they, sometimes I feel I should translate to English because I have acquired some English skills compared to many people who are translating to English. Maybe I may do that once, because there are so many great writers in Indian languages who are not getting the exposure that even an average writers like us get, because we write in English. I not see. One more thing I would say, there are two things. There are great writers and great storytellers. They are not same. Some like Tolstoy or someone like Vyasa may become a great both great storyteller and a great writer. Shakespeare will become a great storyteller and a great writer. They are like exceptions. Otherwise, many of the people are either great storytellers or great writers. Honestly, I am a great storyteller, but I am not a great writer. My assistant. I tell fantastic stories. So I can tell stories in like Bahubali, I can tell stories like Asura. But a great writer is one who plays with language, who can create majesty with language. Right. There are like Arundhati Roy, for an example. He's not a great writer. He's a great writer. He plays with the language. Salman Rushdie is a horrible storyteller, if you ask me. But he's a great, great writer. People may take objection, my assessment, Anthony. He's a great writer with a very average storytelling skills. Because if you try to convert that story into a film or into a thing, it won't work. Because there is no story in that. Then the director's craft or the actor's craft has to come. Whereas my books can easily be converted to films or television because story is there. Right. So it is language neutral. So it can be translated to any language. I wrote in English. It has come in 14 languages in this many years. 4 years, 3 years, all the books. Why? Because my story can be told without language also. Because as I said, my assessment is I am a good storyteller, but I am not a great writer. Just an average writer. Right. So it doesn't matter for me because I'm not writing in my mother. My Malayalam skills are very good, but English is not. Got it. So you play to your strength. Got it, sir. So, and speaking, sir, about Asura again, what do you think, sir, how Ravan is still relevant in today's world? I think part of this I answered. Ravan is an epitome of materialism. So we are all Ravans in many ways. Not up to that extreme, but we are all aspiring Ravans who don't have the capability to become Ravan. Because Ravan, Valmiki has put him to that extreme. No? So we can never be such a polyglot. Right. So, but today's world, that's why Ravan was bad in Treta Yuga. Okay. Kali Yuga, it's Ravan's time. Okay. The materialistic world. So it is about, we are doing all those things. No? Even though those are Adigari, we are doing all those things. We are still flying. We are making fantastic music as a humanity as a whole. More music are produced in a day than it was produced in their human civilization. More knowledge is getting created in a day or every minute than it was created until then. So we are seeing an explosion of Ravanism around us. It's ambition, human ambition has spread to, see, Ravan's ambition is that he wants to lift the mountain. Now we can actually do that if we require. We are reaching that stage. We might be, Ravan colonized all the worlds. It was an ambition or an aspiration written at that time. Now we are actually doing that. So we are living the era of Ravan. That is how he becomes relevant. No? He becomes relevant because we are him. Right. Collectively, we have almost reached him or beyond him. As individuals, we are all aspiring Ravans. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Okay. So, sir, taking this forward, so
as you said, Ravan was very intelligent. He was learned. He was from Brahman Kul, and so his background was very good. And that's why there are certain parts where Ravan is praised also. But there were certain decisions that he made which made him evil, or say antagonist, or say uh, in in certain parts of other country. So what are your views on this, sir? How do you reconcile this? Like, do we are, as you said, that we are also living like
There is
Ravan?
no need to. There is no need to reconcile. There is no need to reconcile because in many, at least in 30 Ramayans,
Mm-hmm.
so many, Ravan kidnaps Sita because Sita is his daughter. So the entire story logic turns to its head. After
Right.
Surpanaka is mutilated, Ravan, the story goes like that. Ravan doesn't want Sita to stay where he takes. These are also Ramayana. So, but you go by the conventional or the majority of the Ramayans where Ravan kidnaps her. Also, these are the story of karma will, as I said. No, Ravan does mistake, he pays the price. Ram does a mistake, he pays the price.
Perfect.
Ram kills Bali hiding behind the tree. He gets killed in the next avatar. The same Bali comes as Jara and kills. You can take parallel of each. That's you should, if possible, listen to many Ramayanas, many lessons where I have told this using many Puranas how the story logic works. It's free for everyone in audible.
Right. Perfect. 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 Great. Sir, last thing that you would like to tell to all of our listeners and viewers out here, like who are juggling with the mythological world and are interested in this.
You want me to tell to the listeners or the aspiring authors?
Listeners.
Okay. See, listeners, I will only say if you are reading Indian Puranas, they are not mythology, they are not history. Both are extreme views again. Mythology, it's not a mythology because see, myth is something which is very restricted to a place and people just. There are many myths like the myth of what do you call ghost. It's a myth. But these are kavyas. Ramayana is a kavya or a poetry, and it's a great piece of literature. It may or may not have happened, which is immaterial. Because as for Ramayana itself, it keeps happening again and again.
Mm.
So it is set in the present, it's set in the future also. And it is set in the past, remote past, 100 times, 1,000 times, million times, infinite times in the past, and infinite times in the future. So these are the eternal stories, and you have to approach them in that fashion. Don't approach them for your false glory to know that Indians had atom bomb at that time and all these things. That was all bullshit. Because a civilization which talked about ahimsa, a civilization which gave so much to the world, their only contribution cannot be an atom bomb where everybody is roaming around in horses yet have a missile to destroy each other. They don't have even a bicycle or a car. These are all highly symbolic things talking about the man's greed and the man's where man is going if he has. So Brahmastra is rarely used in any of the epics. It is always a warning saying that you go to reach that level. We have reached that level now. We have got multiple nuclear bombs and all. We all have, or many countries have Brahmastras now. Use that, the world will end. So every time you see in these stories, gods come to prevent it, they come to plead it, they somehow make the hero withdraw it, or it's only partially deployed. So they talk about all these things beyond saying that if man reaches there, the end is near. It's a cautionary tale also. It's a tale of karma and karma rather than good and evil. So approach it with an open mind, approach it with a rational mind. Just don't go there to find false glory which comes from the inferiority complex of being subjugated by colonials. Because of the colonialism, which denied us a scientific revolution for 200 to 50 years, where India went back or India stayed where it was and other countries shot forward. 99% of the things we use are the invention from the West, at least in the materialistic world, including the computer, the mic which we are speaking, the headphones which we are using, the current, the light, the satellite, everything is an Western invention. So that creates an inferiority complex in our mind. And that is what makes us think that Mount Kailas is a nuclear reactor or God forbid it is a nuclear reactor. If it is a nuclear reactor, then it is with the Chinese now. So let us not have this kind of fantasies. These stories which they were told, these philosophies, the Upanishads, the Vedas are much beyond this kind of things. They are the guiding post for humanity. And when I say guiding post, milestones, guiding post, or those days Google, where you can find everything. Whatever you search for, you get the answer. If you search atheism, you get atheism. If you search human sacrifice, you get methods of human sacrifice. It's like Google, all these things. What you search, you get for. What you seek, you become that. So you want to see dirt in that, you will find a lot of dirt in that. You want to find casteism in that, you find a lot of casteism. Plenty are there. You want to find nobility, you will find nobility. It's like a mirror kept. It's like a Google. So when you do that, approach it with a rational mind. And just like I will conclude it with Krishna's word, Lord Krishna's words, that Krishna says to Arjuna, after telling the entire Gita, I have told what I think is correct thing. Use your rationality, choose what is right and what is right for you. That's what Krishna says. What is right for you? You choose that. It doesn't matter whether Krishna himself says. It doesn't matter whether God says. What you have to follow is, they always say, Swadharma, what you perceive as. And as long as it doesn't collide with the society's dharma, you are okay. If it collides with society's dharma, there are two things can happen. You may become a villain for the society and you may be called down, or you may change the society and you may become a Mahatma, like how Mahatma Gandhi did. So this is what, when you approach all these things, approach them with an open mind, rational mind. Don't take any literal meanings. Don't try to search quantum physics and this thing into that. You can find, if you search quantum physics, you will find that. They said about the Kanada. But these are all beyond any of these things. These are the tools for you to use in your life. And the books I write, now the latest one, Valmiki's Women, it's from the female perspective, or the many Ramayanas, many women. Especially the books I write, more than the shows or the films and the things that I do. I try to bring all these things in a very entertaining and simple fashion. Some of you may like it, some may not. That is how the world is. There are other great authors. You should explore them also. And if you don't like mythology, read thrillers, read erotica. It's a free world, and any path you take, you will reach at the same place, even through erotica. That's what Kama Sutra says. Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wonderful insights and all the knowledge that you have with us. I'm really grateful for that. Guys, I would be linking sir's handle in the description below. Do check his profile out. Do check his books on Amazon, Audible, and do listen to them and read them. I'm 100% sure you will get a very different perspective and you will start seeing things differently. So do check them out. And thank you so much, sir, once again for doing this episode with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.